Whether you own a construction firm, a small firm, or whatever business you're running, I'm sure we all can agree that there's no better achievement in life than when you win that major contract that you know is bound to take your company to the next level. So, whether you are in the startup phase or you've grown beyond that phase, I'm sure many of you have come across a situation where you find it very difficult to win major contracts, especially when you have to go against larger companies that have a more established past performance or have a relatively larger pool of resources. So, being a certified firm helps level that playing field, but it requires much more strategic thinking and planning than most realize. So, welcome to another week of DB3's Risk It or Not, and I'm Denise. In today's video, I am going to quickly go over just a few strategies and tips that can be very helpful in learning how to leverage your certifications so you can win government contracts, whether at the state level for a state agency or for cities, school districts, or counties. So, this video really could be about an hour to 2 hours long, but I'm going to make it very brief, and I'm going to put in the description below some additional tips that I'm not going to cover in this video. So be sure to check that out. So when you're deciding which contract to bid for, you need to be realistic and ask yourself some critical questions. The first question you need to ask yourself is, does my business meet the technical requirements? And I'm talking about being very honest and transparent about if you can actually do the work, but also, do you meet the minimum requirements? So within every solicitation or RFP or bid, there is a section that sometimes outline what the minimum requirements are to be considered for the contract award. So sometimes they can be anything from the number of years you have been in business, that you're required to be licensed by the state, things like that. The second thing you want to ask yourself is, does the contract fit your business strategy and goals? If it doesn't, then why are you bidding this contract? Every initiative that you roll out in your company needs to be aligned with your business goals and strategies. So keep that in mind. The third thing I'm going to say is, can you afford to spend the time and resources required? Not just focusing on the scope of work, but actually, can you pull together a solid and successful bid response? So if you can't, then it may be time for you to evaluate whether or not you need to hire someone to help you with that, whether it's an outsourced consultant or an employee. So the last part of that question that you should ask yourself is, can I win? Not, can I perform the work? And the reason why I say that is because when an RFP is released, most businesses say to themselves, yeah, we can pull off that work. But they're not really giving much thought to if they can actually win the work. So if you see a published RFP or solicitation, but you've never met that public entity that's released that solicitation, you don't have a point of contact, you've never met them at a networking event, they don't know anything about your company, and this is the first time that you've seen that solicitation, you're too late, because you're not going to have a good chance at winning that contract regardless of what certifications you may possess. So make sure that you know what that public entity knows about you. Make sure that you have some type of pre-existing relationship that you can leverage to get additional information if it's not a blackout period, meaning that you can't have any contact, but you can kind of understand if it's going to be released, if it's coming out soon, so it can be on your radar. And lastly, you want to make sure you understand their problems, not just what's listed in the RFP, but other situations that they're dealing with that you can also present in your proposal response to have a solution to. Those that perspective is critical when it comes to how evaluators look at if you are a good fit for this contract and for being a partner with them. The second strategy I'm going to tell you about is to have a targeted approach. And so a lot of new and less successful government contractors want to be all things to all people, just to kind of hedge their bets. But I can tell you that that rarely works. So you need to identify the public entities that you are interested in conducting business with and understand which certifications that they apply to awarded contracts. So for example, here in Texas, we have multiple certifying agencies. We have North Central Texas, South Central Texas, you got the city of Houston, the city of Austin, and you even have like a Minority Diversity Council, and I think WBENC, which is for women business enterprises, is a national certification agency. All that's great. You can get certified, but getting certified does cost money. So you need to be strategic on which ones you want to be certified through. Because if you want to do business with one particular certified agency, one particular public entity, they may only accept certifications from one or two agencies. So be strategic about which certifications and which agencies you want to get those certifications from. The last golden nugget I'm going to leave you with is when all variables are even and everyone that is bidding that contract is certified and they meet the public entity's small business goal or woman-owned business goal, then what are your chances of actually winning that contract? Do you have any other advantage over them? Yeah, you do. And it's called pricing. So it's funny that many certified firms are not thinking strategically, because if you see that everyone else is certified, pricing is what's going to be the determining factor of who's the best vendor for that contract. So whether you know this or not, I'm going to share this little secret. You don't have to submit just one pricing proposal in your bid response. You can submit multiple ones. And so I'm going to share a quick analogy with you. Think back to when you bought your first car. And if you bought your first car on your own, you definitely had a set budget. But you go to the car dealership and you see all of the newer models and they all have a sunroof and a GPS and satellite radio and massaging seats. And oh, well, I want a car that has all of that. So the car dealership is going to show you all the cars in that feature, all of the new updates, all of the new models. But what actually happens is that your budget is actually going to dictate what you buy. And so when you come off of that high and you realize I really can't afford these cars, can you show me another option that fits my budget? And the car dealer will oblige you and he will show you cars within your budget that meet your basic need of transportation. It has 4 wheels, it has a steering wheel, it has a gas tank, it has seats. Basic needs. Same concept for public entities that are awarding contracts. They have a basic need. Give them a price for the basic need. But also think about, based on what you see in the scope of work, they may be wanting some additional leverage here. Whether you add a value added service and you give them something complimentary, or you say, here's price A based on basic. But I also see that you may want to have air conditioning, or you may want to have satellite radio on that car. Here's an additional quote. And if you have no budget limits whatsoever, here's the budget cost for 3. It's a win-win situation. So I hope this has been very helpful. I will, like I said, down in the description, add some additional points. I want to keep this video very light and short, but if you have questions or if you need some additional information, please feel free to reach me. Leave a comment in the area below, and most importantly, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to another installment of DB3's Risk It or Not, and I hope you tune in next week. Thank you.